And now, live from the studios of Freedom's Phoenix, Ernest Hancock.
Yeah, here we go. Oh, I wanted to do a YouTube of this one song because I'm telling you, man, this is it. It's, whip it good. Oh, here we go. Yeah, it's not going to do it right. Now, let me tell you why I wanted to do that, okay? Whip it good. Just while I was thinking it, somebody told me a joke, and it has a lot to do with what I want to demonstrate here. There was a gentleman, long story, he's a doctor, and we were talking about politics and so on, and he said, it reminds me of a joke. And I'm like, okay, do tell. And he goes, yeah, whip it. The whip. Okay, tell me your joke. And he goes, you go to the man and you say, anything but the whip. Anything but the whip. And he goes, the whip. No. Anything but the whip. The whip. Anything but anything. The whip. And that's exactly what's going on. You'll sit there and say, please don't beat me up with fill in the blank. And you say, anything but. And the government with the shiny badge and always available gun and uniform says, anything. And then your imagination through the fear and intimidation of what could possibly come, alien invasion, terrorists, blah, 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 fill it in. And they go, really? Okay. The whip. We're sitting here begging for the whip. Can we get up enough little kind of, chutzpah inside and say, you know what? Bring on whatever else you're threatening me with. No whip. Well, what's the whip? Is it government in general? Is it the Constitution? What? This weekend, there was a video that came out that was talking about how Ron Paul's an anarchist or a voluntarist, which same thing. And there was footage from him talking about the Constitution, and we'll play it here in a little bit. But then we have another one where we have Spitzer on CNN going, well, you're saying that taxation is theft. Do you stand by that? Yeah, you got to take it from somebody, give it to somebody else. Taxation is theft. These kind of comments is what they say makes him unelectable. And as we go further and further down the dark side, it's what makes him electable. And the status quo, they are afraid because their entire structure is based on the whip. But what happens when people say, you know what? I don't care what you're threatening me. No more whip. Now, Karen is taking on the same, it kind of shocked me last time when you first told me we had you on the air and you said, yeah, I'm running for Congress. And I'm going, why?
Yeah.
So this is, I'm going, all right. So tell me what you think you're going to get out of this. And tell me how your campaign is going. Are you begging, for the whip, or you're saying no whip? What are you doing?
Well, we're challenging a Republican rhino incumbent, and he is a Republican who voted to raise the debt ceiling, borrow more money. He has consistently done that for 20 years, basically. And he comes back here to the Valley, where he's supposed to be representing us, and he tells us how hard he's working and how tough it is to fight the good fight. Then he goes back up to Washington and votes however the party leaders tell him to vote, which, of course, is never in our interest, and always for more spending and more borrowing. More war, more Patriot Act, all the things that we don't like, that's what he is voting for. And so anyway, he's been there 20 years. He never gets, we don't have a lot of other parties around here except for the Republicans. We have Libertarians, we have lots of independents, and we have Democrats, but none of them have anything comes close to a majority. So to beat this guy, you have to beat him as a Republican. And to beat him as a Republican, I have to race him, I have to attack him, I have to deal with him in the primary. And so our race has been going on for some time, and it'll continue until June of next year, when we will either have a primary here in the 6th District, or we will have a convention. And it is the call of the incumbent on which he wants to do. And, of course, he'll postpone that decision as long as he legally can. Right now we have to prepare for both a primary, and it is an open primary state, so we take votes from everybody. And we'll get them. Apparently we'll get them, because based on the people we've been talking to at all these fairs and gun shows and walking up and down streets, people are so fed up with the status quo. And I'll tell you, Most people in the 6th District, I would say most, do not get the fine differences between anarchism and voluntarism and libertarianism and all these things. They don't get those isms, and they don't care about those isms. But I'm going to tell you, most of the people in the 6th District believe that taxation is theft. Okay?
Yeah,
they don't have any confusion about that.
Until they say anything, the whip, the whip, the whip. Okay, now this is in your race. Your incumbent has an option. I can go in a primary against Karen. I just found this out during the break.
It's his choice. Yeah, it's his choice. He gets to choose. All the incumbents get to choose if they want to go with the primary or a convention. And a convention is cheaper. If he goes with a primary, it'll be more costly for him. So, it'll depend on how the easiest way he thinks he can take me down. We've challenged him to a series of 3 debates. We have sponsors. Tea Party is going to sponsor one of them down in Roanoke, and one of the Republican units is going to sponsor another one. So we have a dissension within the Republican units that supposedly all genuflect to this man. And anyway, I do want to share this, though, and this may inspire other people and you're listening, who are listening, about, because ultimately it's never about the political party process, okay? It's about people changing their minds. You talk about this all the time. It's about changing your mind. It's about being prepared for what's coming. It's about having a network. It's about having a philosophical grounding that makes sense. It is never about politics. I mean, that's just a money-grubbing game. But the GOP in the 6th District has the top leaders of all the county and city GOPs in the 6th District. They meet every quarter. I attended that meeting. I go to those meetings, and I went to the one on Saturday, and they had a little mini rebellion in the middle of the meeting, and someone stood up and read a proclamation condemning the borrowing of this country, condemning the situation that we've gotten into in the last 20 years, condemning the incumbent Republican. This is a Republican committee. Guy stood up and read this, and I tell you what, I was so proud and happy. I felt like I was at one of the he reminded me of a founding father. Very eloquent in his
How old was he?
Of fact. The man, he's older than me, 60 probably. Yeah, these people are angry. Okay, so this is why Ron Paul is electable. The people in this country, and the young people. My God, the young people know they're getting taken for a ride. They're not paying their Social Security. They're not going to pay these confiscatory taxes. They're going to work underground. They're going to go overseas. Okay, they're going to get those food stamps as long as they can, live a good life. They are not paying for grandma's Social Security. They're not paying for the government's waste and wars. They're not even enlisting in these battles. They can't even get people to go in the military. The only way they do is a bad economy. Can you imagine if the economy actually got better? We'd have nobody to serve in these stupid wars. So, the people are beginning to, and many we're ceasing to believe in all these stories. We're taking care of ourselves, and when we go to these political meetings and when we talk to people and somebody asks your opinion, people say, you know what, I think it sucks. That's what they say. It's bad. It's no good. I get in trouble every time I use the word republic on my website. They say, republic? We don't live in a republic. So they got it. They got it. I'm telling you. And it's a scared government that we're dealing with. And if you want to get ready for something that's happening, then study what scared and frightened governments do. That's what our government is doing right now, and that's what they're going to continue to do until we turn it around. They are frightened, and that means it's dangerous. It's a dangerous government. Dangerous to us. So anyway, yeah, we're having a great time. We're having a great time. We had we got some TV coverage. We've had lots of newspaper articles and op-eds, and people are starting to think about our campaign, even though they've got elections coming up here in November for some local delegates and that. Once that's done with, we'll be the only thing to talk about, and they are ready. They're pumped and primed.
Okay, well, what do you think you're going to do? Are you going to do a primary or?
What do I think we're going to do? I don't know. What we'll do is whatever the incumbent thinks will be the cheapest and easiest way for him to win. I suspect, since he owns most of the Republicans that go to these conventions, he'll probably try to do a convention. But that's not trustworthy because Ron Paul gets lots of support in these conventions. That's how, this whole process is well known to real conservatives. And
but they just turn off the lights. Whenever they want, they play this game. Well, Karen Kwiatkowski's got a bunch of game players on her side. We're going to be watching and finding out what's going on. More when we come back here on Declare Your Independence with me, Ernest Hancock, and Karen Kwiatkowski in just a little bit.